Hey, I'm Clever Pigeon. This is my post commentary for as of the 1st of October 2020, what is my current PB for Devwill, which is a 28:10. And I'm hoping to use this to submit to various marathons along the way. So without further ado, let's get started. The first thing I need to explain just before time begins is I'm putting in a password to get 77 lives, because you die in one hit in this game, and going through with basically only 5 hits is tough. So time starts once I move off the title screen for the first chapter. So there's time starting. The game begins with this little silent movie type text box that comes up. This game has a sort of black and white film vibe going to it, so these pop up occasionally, and then you get your ability to move, and it's off slowly but steadily as the golem. You can make that little jump. So your movement abilities in this game aren't particularly grand, but it's just a case of making all the little optimizations that you can manage. You'll see on my input display, I'm going to start holding down at some point during the loading animation, and that means I can just move as soon as the next stage loads in. That was an annoying little... Sometimes you don't make it onto moving platforms properly, you sort of get stuck on them. Like that. It doesn't really matter here too much, you can still just about make a cycle and not really lose too much time. I think it's only 2 seconds. But I've got to move fairly tightly here to make all the cycles in this level. I just wait for that skeleton to shoot his bullet, and then jump past it and jump over him. It is possible to make that cycle without waiting, but I haven't figured out how to make it consistent yet. You can, much like in Super Mario Bros, you can walk across one-tile gaps. It doesn't work flawlessly every time, sometimes it's a bit finicky, but for the most part. And right before the end of this this level, you get another black and white film, silent movie cutscene. So the general, for the first few chapters of this game, the general pattern is 3 levels and then a boss. This boss is a serpent, 8 hits, up and down, not too complicated. It follows the same pattern every time, so it's fairly simple. I mash through and just go straight into the next chapter. I mashed straight through the little chapter start thing that you saw for the first chapter. A lot of different enemies introduced in chapter 2. In 2.1, it's quite convenient that you can just sort of avoid them all by walking forwards, pretty much. These fish, technically they're called bit bites. This game has a bestiary in its end credits, where it gives all the creatures names. They're annoying, but thankfully this level isn't too difficult. That's one of the vertical levels. I think it's the only one where you have to go downwards to progress. No, actually, that's not true. There's another one later. A little cutscene from Charon, the Ferryman. Now we're introducing these fish things with legs that jump up and then shoot at you. They're gonna be around quite a bit for the next bit of the game. What I should mention is that everything cycle-wise, pattern-wise, starts once it loads onto the screen. So just before it's visible, something will load up into the game's engine and start its cycle. So cycles are pretty consistent in this game. I mashed through a little boss picture. There's a picture before every boss, and before a few of the levels as well. This is the Flowers of Evil. I fire 8 shots into it there, then I walk over to the other side. Unfortunately, I took a dive, took a death there, but that's alright. And then I walk over and I fire 4 other shots on the other side. I also avoid the fish that's jumping up from the top, from the bottom. Now in Chapter 3, Interludio 1, there are these fish again. I try to jump up and get them as they pop up, and then I can fire something into them as they land, and deal with them before they get a chance to fire a shot at me. If I miss, I just jump over, and it's not too much of a time loss. Take out all these flying eyeball things before they get a chance to notice me and start swooping towards me. They're very annoying, those eyeballs, because they fly in a sort of sine wave type pattern. You can see there, and sometimes they move up and down as they move up and down as they fly, but they also descend gradually. It's tough to deal with. So that was that. The next level, 3-2, is largely an auto-scroller. You gotta sit on this boat. So I just stand towards the front of the boat and fire. Try and deal with the fish, and then also there are these eye things flying in a figure 8 pattern. They're horrible to deal with, so I just fire ahead and hope for the best. Unfortunately, that one got me. You want to try and stay on the front half of the boat. As long as you're on the front half of the boat, it will keep moving forward. But if you die, it will stop to wait for you, which is frustrating. When you jump, you can't see the enemies here, so I'm listening out to hear if I hit them when I jump, and if not, I need to jump again, otherwise they'll kill me. Then you get these red eyeball things flying at you as well. These things show up quite a bit for the rest of the game. They're quite annoying. They track your vertical position and follow you when they spawn on, and then stick to that vertical position. But they also fly in a sort of sine wave parabola, I think. I don't know. Like that. Like the other eyeball things. Just firing ahead again. Once you see that enemy that doesn't really spawn properly in the sea, you know you're fine. I tried to jump ahead a little bit of the boat and hit the end trigger slightly early, just to make up for the time I lost when I died in that level. And you start... 3-3 is one of the longer levels in the game. It's a bit of a pain to make these specific cycles. Oh, yeah. It's tough to deal with those eyeballs as well. They can be odd to maneuver around sometimes. So we come here, and then we've got a seagull that talks to us again. So we wait for a little bit, and then we're off. I'm going to wait here a little bit just to make sure I don't get hit by one of the things on the way down. I have had it before. You can soft lock the game if you grab a key and get hit by an enemy at the same time, because you'll grab the key but the gate that it unlocks won't open. So I've fallen down there and had it soft locked before because I hit one of the eyeballs at the same time I grabbed the key. Very annoying. These ghosts, you've seen the ghosts, they spawn randomly. So they can be a bit of a pain to deal with sometimes, but it's not the end of the world. So I'm trying to take them out to deal with them, so that they don't spawn in a bad place and make me fall down at some point. Those are okay ghosts though. Another guy to speak to. I can't remember his name. I think it's Count Orlok or something. Interestingly, I have had a ghost spawn in the player character, in the golem, during that cutscene, and then kill me as soon as I regain control. It's a bit odd. Alright, coming up to the end of this chapter now, and we fight the Leviathan, which is a bit like the serpent, but it moves back and forth. So it goes in a low pattern and then a high pattern on the way back. I walk over here and fire shots into it as it approaches, and then dodge around it, fire a few shots in, and then its tail will block shots, so you can't really fire shots in on the way back. This is where the pattern for levels and bosses starts breaking down in this chapter. This one's only got 2 levels before the boss, and this is, I'd probably say this is the easiest of the chapters. This chapter is also one with a neat little shortcut in the next level, which I'll talk about when we get to it. It's not much, but it's pretty neat. Just deal with all the sort of attacking villager skeletons as we go along. These ones with the coffins, they jump up and down, so you just follow them. And then there are also ones with the coffins that run away from you. Oh, I haven't mentioned yet. When you fire a bullet on the ground, you stop for a little bit. So a lot of the time, when I can, I am jumping just before I fire a bullet, so that I can preserve my speed instead of being forced to slow down at all. Well, to a complete stop for a moment. Just a little optimization that plays in a lot of the time during this run. I messed up the jumps across the gravestones there. Here's a little shortcut. Instead of going back down, there's a little bit here you can go through. You also get some extra points from it. Oh, I misplayed that one. I tried to go a little bit too hard. Another talk here. Thankfully the enemies despawn when you reach a cutscene. So we talk here. It warns us of the next boss, the Pestilent. I stand away from this skull. I stand away from that skeleton so that it doesn't run away from me. So I can just fire 3 shots into it nice and quickly. Here's the Pestilent. I fire 3, and then I try and fire 5 each time. Its hitbox persists for a little bit after it becomes invisible. Like, while it's fading away, its hitbox is still there. So that was a decent fight. And I like to have a little bit of fun there by jumping and ending the level mid-air. This chapter 5, sorry. This is Furioso. And it features a bit of a boss rush in it. So, in this one there are just a great deal of enemies. This is a fairly short level. But starting with the next one, you go through all the bosses in order. Again. And they're sort of slightly upgraded forms of each of the bosses you've fought so far. You also get introduced to whatever those are. I can't remember their names, but they shoot homing bullets at you. They sort of wait for a bit and then they go for you. It takes 3 shots to kill them. So I wait it out every so often with them, because it's better to wait a little bit rather than have to try and dodge a bullet coming at an unpredictable angle. These are probably some of the most finicky jumps in the game. Getting up there is harder than it looks through that little gap, and you don't have a very big window to make it across some of these jumps, especially ones where you hit the roof. So what I'm going to do here, you can see there are these eyes spawning again, but I'm going to stand on this specific platform, the 4th one. So I've gone too far for the eyes to spawn, but I'm not close enough to the serpent for it to start shooting bullets at me. So I can just fire 12 shots into it really quickly, and it's down. Next, this is the second vertical level. I like to drop in here, get a little point upgrade, which gives me another life. It doesn't really do much for me, but while you have to wait for the elevator, it's a nice thing to do. I like to wait there a little bit because sometimes an eyeball can appear and cause some trouble. You can fall straight into it. Again, want to make sure you don't die and grab a key at the same time. These are the upgraded flowers. There are 2 of them now. It takes 12 into one of them, and then I can just go over to the platform where it stood and fire 12 really quickly into the second one. And the Leviathan. It works in much the same way, but its position vertically relative to you is different, so you have to dodge around it differently. It's still not too difficult though, once you know what you're doing. And then we go straight through into the final chapter, Climax. And we meet Death, and Death gives us a little talk, and then we're off. So the levels in Climax are quite a bit longer than in the previous chapters. Oh, these jumping skulls, by the way, if you fire something at them, they don't die. They will shoot a bullet back at you. So I'm not attacking them. It's better to just leave them be and dodge them. All down here. Take out this guy. And then this enemy. I can't remember its name. The kind of angel thing. You want to try and deal with it very quickly, but it's difficult to hit because it moves in that sort of parabola again. But I dealt with it well. There, it died pretty quickly. Yeah, you wanna take care of that one quickly, specifically, so that it's not blocking your way to the moving platform there. You go and grab your key, and then you've got to make your way back to much further back in the level, where there is this gate in the ground that's now unlocked. I'm gonna stand just out of reach of one of the devil things that fires homing bullets, so that it doesn't fire a bullet at me. Deal with these low-flying eyeball owl type things. They've all got names. I can't remember a lot of them though. And then we move on to what almost counts as the final boss of the run, or counts as one of the last bosses on its own, the elevator. If you die on one of these, you don't respawn properly on top of it. It doesn't wait for you or anything. So you'll spawn underneath it and fall all the way back down to the bottom. And while you can get another elevator back up, it's a huge time loss. So if I were to die here, it would be run over immediately. And it's a pain because those skulls with wings that flap at you are some of the hardest enemies to dodge. I jump here early to hit the trigger, and then we've got round 2 with the pestilence. It's a bit harder to deal with this one because there are gaps in the floor. Yeah. It's also harder to predict how it's going to shoot at you. But thankfully, I mean, aside from that death, this one went relatively cleanly. Obviously, it could have gone better, but, you know, we take those. It's an annoying boss to deal with. This is the last regular platforming level of the game. We're on some scaffolding, there are some construction workers dealing with us, and there are those things, I can't remember what they're called. Just like bits of machinery that explode when you get near them, or if you shoot them twice. Also, there are those little mech robots on wheels. So I'm firing ahead here because there are 4 of the little robots on wheels, and then there's one of the coiled spring-looking things. The bullets that they spray as they explode always drop in the same pattern, so I know what to do to stand out of their way. By the way, the spanners that the construction worker skeletons throw, they track you, so they're actually aiming. It's not just a set throw that they have. That's a little bit more spice to it. Some more of the skulls with wings. I try to make sure I get rid of that skull with wings and that mech robot before I get on the elevator, because you don't really want to deal with it on the elevator. Again, if you die, you fall through it when you respawn. This is a really annoying, tough bit of the level to deal with, because if you fall down off these platforms, you have to go back round and ride the elevator to get back up to get to the key. You cannot jump up to that key. So again, fall down onto those spikes, it's run over. Nothing that can't be sorted in a marathon setting. However, I mean, much like the lift, it's a reset point if you mess it up. This is the 3rd and final of the big elevators of the game. And this one isn't too difficult to deal with. This skull with wings spawns over here. but you take the right path, and there's a little shortcut with some more points in it. You can just jump up. I've got to make sure not to be right under the spring things as they spawn, because they drop their wreckage, and they will kill me. Not a huge deal, but a bit of an annoyance. Again, if you fall down here, it's back to the spikes and run over. Savable in a marathon, but not a good thing to have to experience if you do fall down. There's supposed to be another bit of text here. I've gotten it like once, but for the most part it usually bugs out, and I just attack the angel that is supposed to give you the text, and then I jump up and down where it sort of stands in its bugged out text giving position until it flies away and gives me a key. And then we walk up with the like weird clock sounds and the stars in the background. Until we face who we've been going after the whole time, the creator of our character, the Golem. And now we have a double boss fight. So the first boss in this arena is the Demiurge, which is this hand thing. And it has the same pattern every time it moves. So it will spawn a devil thing, then it will rise up, spawn one of the owl eye things, it will spawn another when it reaches the other corner, and then it will drop down, put a devil down, and repeat. The eye things track your position. The further you are away from them, the faster they cross the screen. So I'm standing in the right places for them to not be a bother. I'm also making sure I jump at the right times to fire in 3 shots to the Demiurge every time it comes low enough to shoot. Because if I were to miss even one of them, I would get an extra cycle of it moving across the screen, going up and coming down, and that would be a big pain. Because it takes 12 shots to kill, so 4 cycles optimally. There you go. And then all its enemies despawn, thankfully. And now you fight the other boss, which is called Your Lord. Similar sort of idea. It has the same attack pattern that repeats left to right. It fires these things at you in the ground, then it will come down and get you, and then it will launch itself, sort of bouncing around the screen like a game of Breakout. And then, much like the Demiurge, it does the same thing, but over on the other side of the screen. So you can fire 4 shots into it, maybe sometimes 5 as it comes down, and then I try to get 2 shots into it as it hits the floor when it bounces around. And this also takes 4 cycles for the most part, well, 3 and a bit. I can't remember the exact number of hits, but it goes over to the left twice, and then on the second time it comes down to the right. You can hit it without it going into its... You can kill it without it going into its breakout mode. And time will be when the next loading screen comes up after the boss is defeated, and I'll call that out. So it bounces around, and time is soon. And time. So not bad. Yeah, that is... I frame counted this after I got the run, and that is a 2810. It's a bit hard to take the final split extremely accurately. And this last bit is just like an epilogue cutscene, and then there's a big long bit of credits for the game. So first you see the credits, and then you see the bestiary, and then it just boots you back to the title screen. So thanks very much for watching. I'd like to give a few shout outs. Well, because I'd like to give one shout out. I'd like to give a shout out to Paulo Villalva, otherwise known as Amoex, who is the developer of this game. and you'll see his name here. He made this game all on his own, but he also really helped me with speedrunning this game, because I reached out to him and he actually gave me a training version of the game with the ability to skip levels and with infinite lives to make it so much easier to practice. And he also told me about the 77 lives password. I found all the strats for this game all on my own. I'm very proud of it. I think it's come very far from when it was so difficult to beat one of the chapters at a time because you only had 5 lives. I think this game, from a casual state, has been very nicely optimized by yours truly, if I do say so myself. And I'm very proud of it. I'd love to show it off at any marathon. Here's the bestiary you see. I'm not gonna sit through the whole bestiary here. It just goes through the enemies, goes through the names of the bosses, goes through the names of the things that talk to you along the way, then gives you the golem at the end. And then you get to put in a high score on the scoreboard. But in any case, that is Devwill. So, to any marathons I submit this to, thank you very much for considering it for your marathon, and I hope you enjoyed it. To anyone who's watching, thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it, and I'm very proud of what I managed to do with this game. So see you soon. See you around. Bye.